Welcome to Where in the World? In this episode, we're going to talk about our days in Luxor and our visits to the Valley of the Kings, the Valley of the Queens, and a variety of other temples and places that we visited. So come join us. The first stop on our tour was the Colossus of Agamemnon. Interestingly enough, they got the name all wrong. The Colossus of Agamemnon is named after the Greek mythology Memnon, which had nothing to do with the people who are in the statue, who are actually Egyptian pharaohs. So they got the name completely wrong, but it's still a pretty cool place to stop and see. As we enter the Temple of Hachiptsu, you'll notice that there is a whole sales center here. And this is true with a variety of the monuments and temples in Egypt. There's always a place to buy a souvenir and spend a little money. But let's go on. In front of us is the Temple of Hatshepsut. And I have to say that she was one of the most boss pharaohs in Egypt, because she was one of the few women pharaohs. And in fact, she was such a boss that they eventually tried to erase her from the history. But she ruled for a number of years. And I'll tell you what, anybody, and in this case, particularly a woman, who could keep the power-hungry court of the Egyptian pharaohs at bay has my complete respect. The images you'll see are images of her temple, and it is an amazing example of classic Egyptian architecture. So I'm just going to be quiet, and I hope you enjoy. Just a little pro tip. If you tip the attendants, they may allow you to go places that you're not supposed to have access to. Did we do that? Maybe. When you look into the distance, you might even be able to see the Temple of Karnak. The two temples are in line with each other, and we're connected by a causeway. It's pretty cool how all these things come together. We went to the Valley of the Kings next. There's a long causeway that leads to what looks like almost nothingness. But what you find there is truly spectacular. Some images were taken with my phone, others with the video camera. But it is just amazing to be in a space where people took so much care, so much effort to make these special places for their pharaohs almost 3,000, 4,000 years ago. It's inspiring. I would say for anyone who has a love of history and knowledge, it is a don't miss opportunity. Again, please just enjoy the images.
The best, okay? You got people back there?
As you can see, you are allowed in the tombs of several pharaohs. They are opened on a rotating basis, so not one tomb gets too much traffic and degradation based on the number of visitors. Just a special place. from the Valley of the Kings, we went to the Valley of the Queens. There were fewer tombs open, and they were typically less extravagantly decorated. However, it was a very interesting place to stop and see. Our final temple stop on the west bank of the Nile near Luxor was King Ramses III, his mortuary temple. From what I understand, not a lot of tourists stop here, but this was one of the most massive structures I have ever seen. So I would really recommend take a few minutes and stop here. One of the more unique things that we had the opportunity to see here was the king's throne, but right off to the side was also the king's toilet. So, you know, in 3,000 years, some things just don't change. Everybody needs to poop and pee. The size of this site is immense, and the grandeur is amazing. It rivals anything that I've seen from the ancient periods to the modern world. Again, it is something to behold.
It seems that the king had many stories to write. So one open court was not enough.
Finally, when we travel, there is always room for shopping. So we stopped at this location where they sell handmade textiles. And we did find some really unique items at a very good price. So, again, a recommendation, take a stop, look around. Thank you for joining us for our tour of the east side of the Nile River near Luxor. And tomorrow, we'll explore the west side and check out all the temples and monuments. Again, thank you for joining us.